This is Big Ten week. As I always say, this time of year, it feels different already. This morning, there's a line of my athletes waiting to grab coach's ear and talk about the meet. The excitement around here is just another level. Obviously Big Ten's is a championship race, is a different feel to the actual race. 2 weeks ago, Nuttycombe was obviously great invitational, great teams here, but Big Ten's is just a different beast, and our kids certainly get up for it. This is the time of year that they train for the last 3 months, all the hard work, staying around here during the summer. And now they're excited to bring on the postseason, and obviously it starts this weekend at the Big Ten Championships.
Questions for Coach Byrne? Diane?
So Mick, normally this race is on a Sunday. Can you talk about the decision to move it to Friday and how that kind of affects you looking ahead to regionals and the national championship?
Sure. I guess the decision came from the coaches. We felt that we were at a disadvantage. All the other Power 5 conferences, many of the mid-major conferences are held on Friday, and we, obviously we were always on a Sunday. So we, gone Friday gives us 2 opportunities, 2 days to 2 extra days to recover as we look to the regional meet. And obviously when we go to the regionals, we bump it up to 10K. So kudos to the Big Ten Championship Committee for recognizing that this is important for our student athletes, and passed and gave us this opportunity to go Friday. So yeah, it feels different. Normally we depart from here on Friday and in race Sunday, and now all of a sudden it was last week we were at Nuttycombe, and by the end of the week it was like, gosh, we're leaving on Wednesday. Takes away an opportunity probably for an extra workout this week that we would normally do racing on Sunday, but then the benefit hopefully is we're going to reap the benefit at the other end, having that extra 2 days to recover. So just kind of planning out the training from the Nuttycombe invite up to the Big Ten meet. This year was a bit of a challenge because it was just different, it was new.
Diane?
So looking at the Big Ten Championship, you're dealing with only 13 teams on the men's side compared to 30 plus teams that you had just 2 weeks ago at the Nuttycombe. How does that change your approach heading into the championship?
For those of you that were out there at Nuttycombe 2 weeks ago, 500 meters into the race, it was like a roller derby. Bodies all over the place. It became very physical. There was a big crash, and a bunch of athletes went down, including our own Seth Hirsch. Seth came by at the 1 kilometer mark, and he was in 200 way back. I think he was second last, and kudos to him. He was able to get up to 80 something, but great team like Oregon, they lost 2 or 3 guys in that crash, and they didn't recover, and they're much better obviously than the results showed, but other teams also. It becomes a much more physical race. The Big Ten's, with 110, 115 athletes, right from the gun, you can see everyone, the main players, the pretenders, the main team, not just individuals. So you can keep an eye on it, on the developments as the race progresses, a lot easier than you can at Nuttycombe, obviously with 110, 115 athletes in the race compared to almost 300 competitors at Nuttycombe. It's a little different, not quite as physical. We don't get to do the roller derby as often, although in saying that, our own Charlie Wheeler went down last year after 100 meters into the race. So we got to figure out, how we're going to keep all our guys on their feet and, start using their elbows a little bit more. But 2 different races, and it's just by sheer numbers.
Coach, I have a question for you. With the long success of the men's cross country team and the Badgers, both teams in general at Big Ten championships, how do you continue to prepare each of the athletes and really be able to focus on this, and that it not to take that history for granted, and just to be able to keep them fired up and attack after first place here?
Great question, because they can become very complacent, right? We always talk about we're the guys that have a target on our back. People want to steal your lunchbox, and so that kind of gets them fired up a lot. And we'll talk more and more about that as we go into Friday's race, and just don't take it for granted. Every other team in the Big Ten is coming after you. They want that trophy, and just don't let your guard down. Sometimes we often see it in other sports, right? You play down to your opponent. Well, this is something that we always get up for, and hopefully we can take control of the race and not turn the screws too tightly. I think we've done that in the past and got too excited in the race, and I think it's important for our kids to understand that there's still two tough races coming up after this, hopefully. So, but at the same time, don't play down to anyone. Just go in and do your thing. If we, continue to run like we have been, and have confidence in your training, then I think everything will be okay. But you just don't take it for granted, because we do have a target on our back.
Question from Diane.
So Mick, and kind of following up to Jess's question there, you're going for championship number 52. What are some of the teams that you're looking to challenge you? And what about an individual? Do we have any individual people that could go for that championship, especially after the breakout race from Bob Liking a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, sure. I think if you just look at the Nuttycombe results, Michigan had a very good meet, and Indiana were down a little bit, and they always rise to the occasion at the Big Ten championships. Michigan State, Indiana, Purdue, I'd say are the other teams that are in contention, and certainly would be looking to spoil our party. In terms of individuals, there's some excellent individuals around the Big Ten. Certainly Morgan Beaglesome from Michigan State, Ben Veach from Indiana. They're two individuals that certainly could, compete for the individual title. Arjun Jha from Indiana also. John Davis from Illinois had a great season. We didn't see him here at Nuttycombe, but he was runner-up last year, so he's certainly one of the big contenders. And yeah, we can talk about Bob. We don't in our camp, we don't talk so much about the individual title. We talk more about just protecting the team. And if we do that, then the outcome that we're looking for at the meet, we'll get it. But the guys aren't selfish, but I'm sure there's a couple of guys on our team. Certainly Rowan Ellenberg was third last year. Bob Liken had that breakout race at Nuttycombe. But we got 3 or 4 other guys that that would, on any day, could win the title. Jackson Sharp, certainly. Olin Hacker, certainly. So yeah, it's going to be a fun race, and in the individuals, top individuals will always, come to the top of the pile, and we're looking forward to that. But for us, with so many races still to go, the big races, it's more about the team than the individual.